our goal is to find a way to keep them financially stable, while also providing insight to make them the best that they can be and help them continue to grow as organizations and businesses too.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to 1v1. I'm joined today by Matt Reshke, who is the product lead for VCT Americas. Thank you so much for joining me.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
So before I get into kind of what you do here, I wanted to know a little bit about your background and like how you came to Riot, how you got into esports.
Yeah, for sure. So I started my career out in marketing in TV, actually, in entertainment. Started with the Discovery Channel. Spent 4 years there, and I think over time, I was just watching esports at the time at a lot of Overwatch League actually on the side monitor while I was working there. And I think at some point, as like a lifelong gamer, it felt like for me, I've got to find a way to work into gaming and do something that I'm passionate about. So next step, joined a gaming startup, and then ultimately from there was able to join Activision Blizzard, where I joined Activision Blizzard Esports. Started there in marketing and really fell in love with the craft of product and leadership and things like that. Joined the Warzone competitive team at Call of Duty Esports, where we got to build World Series of Warzone over the course of 3 or 4 years there. And ultimately, saw this opportunity at Riot. And with the experience of VCT Americas is like such an incredible league. I'm a huge VALORANT player. I've been playing since launch. Really felt like a no-brainer kind of great experience for me.
That's awesome. So what is it that you do as product lead of VCT Americas?
Yeah, it's a mix of a lot of things. I think really at a high level, it's the strategy, vision, and execution of VCT Americas. So really overseeing soup to nuts, the whole experience, and working with all the really talented leads that we have. I think of my role in like 3 different ways. Number 1 is longer term strategy and vision setting with the league. Number 2 is just day-to-day ops. That's problem solving, finding efficiencies, budgeting, creative marketing, like anything like that. And then number 3 is I'm the liaison between Riot and our partnered orgs as well. So I'm working with them every single day, meeting with them every single week to make sure that their experience is great. We're bringing value for them. They can bring value back for the league.
So I know that you just joined a few months ago, actually.
Correct.
What do you think has been your biggest challenge since you've joined?
Probably just getting to familiarize myself with all the inner workings. I think of both like VCT Americas and Riot as a whole. Like it's such an incredible operation and job that everyone's done. Like I really had an easy time like joining VCT Americas, which has been incredible so far and had such a successful year 1, incredible competition in teams and orgs. So it's really just getting myself up to speed and starting to feel comfortable knowing what's going on, feeling like my input is valuable, making sure I get to know everybody, and building trust with all the key team members and outside partner orgs. So it's been an onboarding experience, I think, this whole time, and every month feeling like more and more comfortable.
What are some of the initiatives that you've kind of spearheaded since you've gotten here?
Yeah, I think in general, professionalizing our relationship with the teams is a big one. Sharpening those processes, giving them proper lead time and information, and that helps them be the best orgs that they can, create amazing content, do all the incredible marketing that you've seen. Launching the capsules, of course, for all the teams was a big initiative. And continuing to really just improve the product across the board, whether that's broadcast segments, times in between maps, we're trying to improve as well. In general, our marketing approach, types of content with players, things like that. So have been really lucky to be able to kind of work on every single piece of the product, and hopefully we'll continue to improve it along the way.
For sure. So I know that with VCT Americas, you're dealing with a very large region. You know, you kind of have 3 sub-regions: North America, Brazil, and Latin America. What are some of the challenges in kind of trying to unify these regions and making sure that they all feel like this is, their league?
Yeah, I think it's a challenge from both internally and the fans' perspective, right? It's not only a region that these 3 groups haven't necessarily been together in esports before, but also internally, our teams haven't worked this closely before. So we're doing a bit of both of that internally, building new team rituals, getting all the regions to talk to each other, and making sure the experience feels good. And folks are collaborating the whole way, learning from each other, learning about each other's region and cultures and things like that. And then for fans, same thing. It's really making this feel like a unified experience, despite maybe language barriers or cultural barriers. So you see that in the 3 different broadcasts that we have officially in each language. You see that in getting co-streamers on other broadcasts. So for example, bringing, of course, like a Portuguese speaking Brazilian co-streamer onto the English broadcast to start bridging those gaps. All sorts of tiny ways, right? You'll see the languages show up on our LED screens and all three rotating through for a pause, for example, things like that. So a goal for us for sure is really to make it feel unified. I think success to me and to the team is, for example, Loud goes really far in a global event, and North American fans are saying we, right? Like they see that kind of identity as an America's team. So that's a goal for us.
So I think with the league, based in Los Angeles, a lot of times it can feel a little more North American. Are there any plans to do any like road shows or tournaments or games maybe in Brazil or Latin America down the line?
Yeah, at the moment, nothing that we can share, but it's definitely something on our minds and a priority for us. I think the way that we've, of course, had game changers in Sao Paulo, Brazil. We've had lock-in in Sao Paulo, Brazil, of course, as well. So trying to find ways to get global events or regional events in these regions is key for us. So North America, Brazil, Latin America, hopefully you'll be able to see a live event in each of those regions at some point in the future, whether that's through VCT Americas or a global event or otherwise.
So I know that you're also involved in kind of helping to develop the schedule. And so this year, I know that it's kind of a single round robin. So every team will play every other team once this year. I know some fans were thinking that it's maybe too few games. So kind of how do you balance, trying to kind of give the fans what they want versus like what's best for the league?
Yeah, it's definitely tough to balance. I think there's times where there's different types of fans, of course, right? So someone who maybe only watches their team play, might want to watch them a lot more and be excited to be a fan. And then for other folks who try to catch every game, might feel like, oh my gosh, there's so much Valorant, especially when you add up tier 1, tier 2, challengers, all of that stuff. So it's really tough to find a balance there. I think the obvious other variable here is just, general budget and operations of our team as well. Right now, we're doing everything out of one location and things like that. So, it's something that we're aware of for sure, and I think we're discussing. But I think, as Leo said, ultimately, right now we feel like it's the right amount of games, and it makes each game kind of feel really important. I think is something that's important to us as well. But we certainly hear the fans who say that.
Yeah. I think one of the quirks this year too is that you have an odd number of teams. You have 11. So how challenging was it to kind of develop a schedule around that?
Yeah, I'm no expert on this one, but our competitive operations team is 11 teams is a challenge to get a good format, an odd number of games, tough to divide two stages up as well. But ultimately, the goal there is like we want to feel really confident in crowning VCT Americas champions, and we want to feel confident in sending the right 4 teams to champs at the end of the year. And I think ultimately we should be able to do that through this format with single round robin. With the playoffs, like we feel confident in that result. So yeah, 11 a bit of a challenge, but we think we'll be able to get there in the end.
So VCT Americas, has been very successful so far. Viewership has continued to grow, even compared to some of the other regions. Why do you think that VCT Americas has been so successful thus far?
That's a good question. I think we've got incredible player and fan base. First off, I think like tons of passion for Valorant across the entire region of the Americas. So it starts with a really strong base. I think specifically in Americas, we've had great competition, right? We've got 2022 and 2023 world champions. We've already got Sentinels winning the first Masters this year. So really has shown that it's got the best players in the world too. And then the orgs and the players is a huge part of it too, right? We've got really great teams, really great brands leaning in so hard on marketing. We got Zelsis carrying so much work on the bundle himself, things like that. So that coupled with incredible stars like Aspas and Tens and others, it's really an incredible winning combination for us. And so ultimately that fuels the community, right? And I think the fans and the community around each of these teams, like it was created, VCT Americas has been like an awesome place to watch and be a part of it. So I think those things together make it really special.
What do you think that you and your team need to do to make sure to that the league continues to grow and that it doesn't stagnate?
Yeah, I think so many things for sure. I think a couple that come to mind, of course, is the talent, right? So that's keeping that talent pipeline really strong, all the way from Premier up to challengers to game changers and tier 1. So making sure that we can continue to have our region performing incredibly well. And then from there, supporting our teams is a big one for us as well, making sure they feel supported. They're leaning in a ton. And then we'd like to be really player first, I think, when it comes to building stardom and storylines and things like that. So we know how grateful we are to have incredible stars and incredible players in VCT Americas now. And to your point, we need to make sure that that continues over time, and we need to keep building them up. We've got really exciting rookies this year. I think we just showed on broadcast a segment highlighting all of those. John QT, Oxy come to mind as folks that we really like to build up. So it's cool to see the younger generation. I think we want to keep making those over time. We got to keep that cycle going of bringing people to the forefront.
One other thing I wanted to touch on is Esports Winter. I think a lot of organizations are struggling these days. So kind of what are you guys doing to kind of make sure that like the league and the teams are able to navigate this difficult period financially right now?
Yeah, I think, Riot, of course, is committed to making esports a big priority. And we know it's such an important part of our fan base, our community, our game, and all of that. I think, we do provide a lot of support to our teams directly financially through, stipends and otherwise through our partnership program, as well as digital goods bundle sharing, revenue sharing through that as well. So we think there is a really great way to find stability as a team in our organization through those types of collaborations and payments that we have for them. So beyond that, we're also trying to help them, be operationally efficient as well. I think we're fortunate to be able to see lots of different teams and how things operate and share some best practices. So our goal is to find a way to keep them financially stable while also providing insight to make them the best that they can be and help them continue to grow as organizations and businesses too.
Definitely. So that's all the questions I have. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just really excited for the season. Happy to be here for stage one. We had such an incredible showing at kickoff. Thanks to all the fans for showing up. And then couldn't ask for more to have Loud and Sentinels in the top two at Masters Madrid, and Sentinels going all the way. So we're excited to see how stage one plays out and looking forward to America's crushing in Shanghai.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right.